How much were you able to increase the rent based on all of this?
I'm glad you asked, ma'am.
Good.
Kenny has been in my place for 16 years, and there's a reason. The rent is low. We keep the rent way lower in the area because we'd rather have people in it than to have people coming and going. We have 2 tenants that have been there longer than him. The rent, I increased it $200 from when he left, to answer your question.
And from his first stay in, from the $950, what was the highest that it went?
His son was paying $14.
Okay, thank you, sir.
There's only one tenant that's been there before me. He appointed him to be the manager because he said, wait,
What does this have to do with the price of tea in
Because
China?
I'm
We're
trying to say-
done here. We are going to excuse your parties while we deliberate in this matter.
This courtroom is now in recess.
All right, I'm troubled with the flood. I don't know how we could connect the plaintiff with the flood, and especially when you look at the ceiling of the plaintiff. There apparently was, in the past, problems with floods coming from the roof. And that particular night of the flood that the downstairs neighbor complained of, it was raining. It was really raining hard. So I can't attribute to the plaintiff damages caused by the flood. So I would ask that we deduct all of the flood-related repairs from the defendant's calculations as to damages. I think the plaintiff admitted readily that he was the cause of the broken doors. The plaintiff admitted leaving property when in his text messages he agreed to remove it. So whatever cost that the defendant bore to remove the property from the street, I think should be attributable to the plaintiff. I don't know what that adds up to.
I have a couple of issues with that because
later.
If he redoes every apartment anyway, according to his testimony, I'm not sure whether or not, above and beyond what we've just looked at, the property that needed to be removed from both the street and from inside the home, and clearly the damages to the doors, which did not have to be taken out on a remodel, are clearly attributable to the plaintiff, and he should pay for them. With regard to the water damage, I don't see the damages.
Yeah, I don't even know that I'm willing even to go so far as to infer that the water damage came from the plaintiff. I might have, but we've never seen it. We didn't see water damage there. We didn't see water damage in the other unit. It was raining, as you point out, but he only brought the countersuit once the plaintiff was trying to get his security deposit.
So on page 38 of the evidence, there's a receipt which pretty much indicates what the damages were aside from the water damage that the defendant is attributing to the plaintiff. And that receipt comes out to approximately $1,200 for rubbish removal for the property that was left outside. And I certainly think the defendant would be entitled to that. But offset against that is the $950 security deposit of the plaintiff. So that would leave $250 that should be granted to the defendant, and his counterclaim for $5,000 will be dismissed.
Right. We would dismiss the
Correct.
complaint, give the defendant $250, if we're all on board with that.
We are.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, good. Gentlemen, we've been able to work this out, and we've concluded that there really hasn't been any evidence to lead us to believe that the plaintiff's son is responsible for the water damage in this case. It's circumstantial evidence, and you indicated that in the past you had flooding problems on the roof. There is nothing in the evidence that links the plaintiff with the flood beneath him. So we are denying you any damages with respect to flood-related issues. You put down a $950 security deposit. The defendant, in our view, has established damages in the amount of $1,200 to the apartment while your son lived there, the breaking of the doors, the failure to remove things that he indicated he would remove, and that came to $1,200. But subtracting the $950 that you already paid him would leave a balance of $250. So, verdict of the court is to dismiss your lawsuit for the return of $950, to grant your counterclaim to the extent of $250. That's the verdict of the court. $250 in favor of the defendant.